Myth number two, carbs are bad for you. Is this true? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Let's look into why carbs are thought to be bad. Carbs are usually correlated with people who are obese or overweight. This probably came into a fad and whenever the Atkins diet was popularized, whenever participants who were overweight or obese, they tracked their food and the majority of them ate carbohydrates. However, they neglected to show the correlation between those participants and they're also eating those carbohydrates with really high fat content, high sodium, and low protein, and not exercise enough, or people who also have like a more sedentary job. So they're not taking the time out of their day to go and be physically active, whether through exercise or through just extracurricular activities. And typically spend their times watching TV and sitting around. So the type 2 diabetes epidemic is pretty bad here in America and in Western cultures, and seemingly throughout the entire world, based on the consumption of fast food and also sedentary lifestyle and as technology advances. So there's a lot of different variables that come into play. Some have polymorphisms and all these things that are thought to have a correlation, but 99% of the time it's going to be down to lifestyle choices and food choices, right? So every carb has like an effect on your insulin levels. So if you go to the doctor and you're type 2 diabetic or you're pre-type 2, the doctor's going to give you a chart and it's going to show some glycemic index, right? So you see on here the snacks, like there's tons of different pictures. So like they're all going to be a little different. So this one over here to the right, let me move myself. So you got the snacks, starch, vegetables, fruits, dairy. I don't know why are snacks like different than starch. Okay, that doesn't matter. But anyways, the glycemic index chart. So typically you'll have like a low glycemic, mid, and a high glycemic index, right? So there's numbers on there. So like 0 to 55 is low, and then so on, right? And it goes up to 100. However, there's a flaw in this. The flaw is that these are carbohydrates at which the rate that they spike your blood sugar, right? And then that makes your pancreas work a little bit harder to pump out enough insulin to be able to cover the blood sugar. So if insulin comes, it's like the little like Uber for your blood sugar, and it puts it where it needs to go, muscle cell or fat cells or wherever it needs to go to work in your body, okay? And you can exhaust your pancreas with making too much insulin and you have too much blood glucose that your body, it's like supplying Ubers for everyone in New York that wants to go somewhere, right? There might not be enough supply for the demand. And this can become exhausting. And then you have too high of blood sugar, increases triglycerides within the body. And then that can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and just your pancreas is overwhelmed, gets tired, right? Totally different from type 1 diabetics, right? So the glycemic index, so on here, 55 and below, it's good, is what they say, and 70 and higher is high, and that'd be bad. Now, what they fail to mention is that all these glycemic index markers for foods were based on solely the carb consumption, nothing else added with it. So I don't know the last time that you guys just ate, like, you want to sit down and eat a bowl of rice. Like it doesn't, usually pairing it up with some sort of fat, some sort of protein, usually protein and a carb, protein and fat, or fats, carbs, and proteins all together. And then that slows down the absorption rates and that can mess with the glycemic index, right? So I'm a big believer in eating more like what they consider high glycemic index carbs, so like white rice, white potato. I don't like potato, but if that's your choice, white bread, things like that, because I'm going to be pairing it up with a protein, and I don't have a spike in blood sugar that I notice physiologically, right? So like that, I would have some sort of like lethargy or brain fog or something, or feeling like almost going orthostatic. And so I don't have those feelings. And maybe if I'm eating just the carbs, I might have a little bit of a feeling, kind of like my blood sugar dropping after the spike, and then it drops, right? So the doctors, again, not educated in nutrition, they want you to be on low glycemic index because what the theory is that if you're just going to eat that carb alone, so let's say you just eat sweet potato, and your blood sugar will be more stable in the body. So it'll just kind of gradually go up, and it'll come, and then it'll start to gradually go down, okay? So there's not a, like white rice goes up, down, okay? And then you feel low blood sugar. And then that's bad because your body pumps out all this insulin, and then you feel like you're gonna faint. So they want you to have a carbohydrate that's gonna digest and give you sustainable energy throughout the day without having that drop in blood sugar and then make you go faint. However, again, this voids the fact that we're actually eating proteins and or fats with it, and also that we are being physically active. So with that out of the way, carbs are not bad for you. The reason why, I like to go ahead and make the analogy of us being like in a car. So think of this. So the macronutrients, you get your fats. Let's think of it as like the electricity in the car. Your protein, think of it like the engine in the chassis. And then you got the carbs. The carbs are like the fuel, okay? If I want to be performing at my best, if I want to have a top performing car, typically, if I want to go on a, let's say, racetrack or drag strip, I want to have, let's say, a drag car, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, right? Those are going to take gasoline, some sort of fuel, okay? I'm not going to want to race a Prius, okay? You can battle me with semantics with Tesla and stuff, but okay, you get the picture. The fats are going to be your Prius. You're going to not perform that well. You're not going to be fast, but the carbs are going to be like your Lamborghinis, your Ferraris. You're going to really perform well. And this is where we use carbs in our physical activities. So if you're in the gym and you want to perform really well, you want to lift heavy weights, you want to recover well, you want to be at the top of your game, carbohydrates are going to be your fuel. Your body's going to use that. It's going to use the carbs, convert it over into glycogen. And glycogen is sugars that store into your muscle and into your liver. And we will use those in later use. And so that's the benefit of having more muscle and doing resistance training and not cardio-based training. So more resistance training, more muscle means more carbs that you can store, which ultimately means more carbs you can eat, and also more calories, because again, like we were talking about before in the other episodes, is that muscle is a very expensive tissue, so we need more calories. So again, it even goes back to the myth number one with protein. So you don't have to eat tons of protein. You can eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then we can fill the rest with carbs, right? Who doesn't love carbs? And you can even throw in dirty carbs if you want to. So like dirty, like a donut, and have a protein shake alongside with it. Like, it's totally fine. Have a donut before your workout, or whatever you like. Okay. Anyways, well, now carbs can also have an effect on serotonin levels. Okay, so some people get less anxious, they get more relaxed when they have carbohydrates, let's say around before bedtime, because some foods that contain carbohydrates contain some B vitamins or some other minerals that can help us relax, and so that's a benefit, right? So having too much protein can almost be like a dopaminic effect, right? So it can be almost like more excitatory, like sparking up your sympathetic system. Okay, so let's take that in consideration. The other part for eating carbs is that we don't want to become resistant to them. So we don't want to have like a insulin resistance. We want to be insulin sensitive. So we want our body used to be able to using carbs. We want our body to be able to use fats as an energy source and carbs. We want it to get to do both. We want it to be able to multitask. Okay, so what we find with more and more clinical data and more research and more trials, clinical trials, with the regular consumer and also with athletes or people who are active, is that people who have gone on a long-term ketogenic diet, so we're looking at fat percentage and diets probably like 50 to 70%, and then protein will be like 20 to 30%, and then carbs negligible. So we find that when you start introducing carbs back in, because maybe they binge or something, their body can't produce enough insulin to help shuttle that glucose around. So then you have some damaging effects with that blood glucose, because we all know about like neuropathy issues, or we have like blood not really getting to the capillaries, so like the ends of the fingers and toes, which is why a lot of diabetics can lose limbs or just get like the dark skin tone to their feet and to their hands. We're not supplying enough blood there because they've been damaged by this blood glucose, right? So we don't want to void carbs out of our diet for a long period of time, because then it's hard for the body to recognize those and to use those efficiently. And there's always been debate saying, oh, well, like your brain loves ketones, so that's why you need to be on a ketogenic diet, and you're not going to be able to think well with carbs in your diet because your brain doesn't really use glucose. I've yet to see that. I mean, there might be some in vitro study. I don't really know about that. But from anecdotal evidence from like myself and from others, I function very well on glucose or glycogen for my brain function. And it is almost like a PED in a way, it is a performance enhancing drug. And we use it before and during exercises and after for recovery, almost as much as caffeine, right? Probably more than caffeine. So, but I mean, your brain's going to use glycogen just as much as ketones. It's going to use whatever it needs to keep itself alive and keep it functioning, right? So that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. I mean, again, people make money on this with supplements showing that they can block carbohydrate consumption. So like, let's just check this out, so, follow along with me on the good old Amazon, or look at that, carb blockers, first thing that pops up. So what's going to be the first ingredient in these? Usually white kidney bean extract. The reason why, they show that white kidney bean is supposed to block some of the starches and not make it impactful on your GI tract to absorbing the sugars into the bloodstream through like the small intestine. So again, there's not enough study showing that. I've heard Lane Norton talk about this, and goes into a little bit of the science, but nothing that is persuasive or even supportive of this. If anything, you're going to buy something that's going to just kind of bind to fats maybe that you eat. So like we were talking about, like that, like Zupu and all that. It can bind to fats that can cause you to be like having like turkey squirts and stuff, or deer trots, whatever people call that. Basically, you're going to leak through your anus. So yeah, I mean, this is just people think that this is like a magic pill, like you can eat carbs and then you're not going to absorb them. I'm sorry, that's you have very high expectations if you believe that. It's not going to happen. Yeah, so just go ahead, don't be afraid of eating carbs. Carbs are your friend whenever you're going to be working out, and you can eat carbs whenever you want. You need it past 6 o'clock. It's not going to make you gain weight. The the amount of calories that you're eating and maybe the food choices of whether your body likes it or doesn't like it, like you have a tolerance or intolerance to it. That could be playing a role into it. But if there's any type of weight gain from it, it would be from water, because every gram of carb you typically holds on to like around 3 to 4 grams of water. So it's, again, we have the differentiation from weight gain or weight loss and then fat gain or fat loss. So two totally different things. You could eat carbs, be 10 pounds heavier at the end of the day, and wake up the next morning, go do your business, and then it's 10 pounds lighter, or you could be even lighter than that. You can lose weight on it because you might have expended more energy throughout the day, because maybe you had more energy, like carbs, more fuel to be more energetic, to be able to move around more. So leaving it there. You can check me out on fit.dad.lifestyle on Instagram. Check out my other videos, podcast, all that stuff. You can find it on linktr.ee/fit.dad. And I'm out, guys.